They said she was born on a morning when the sky itself wept, not with sorrow. No, not with sorrow. The heavens cried the way a mother cries when she knows her daughter is going to grow into a world that will not be kind to her, and yet she will walk into it barefoot, head held high, as if she herself owned the sun. Layla Baisha was that kind of girl, that kind of woman, that kind of soul. She came from the kind of place you don't find on a map, a village at the edge of the edge, where the roads cracked like old hands and the fields bent low, not from the weight of harvest, but from the weight of history. Her mother, Hawaii, was a schoolteacher who taught under a neem tree. Her father, Samir, was a mason who could build anything but a future in a country that forgot men like him. And Layla was a girl who listened. She listened to the wind curling through the bamboo walls. She listened to the silence after a gunshot. She listened when women whispered stories into the dark, the kind that were never meant for men's ears. At 5, she asked why her neighbour Amal never spoke again after her wedding. At 7, she stood between her brother and a soldier, her knees shaking, but her eyes dry. At 9, she carved the word freedom into the mud wall behind her bed. She didn't know exactly what it meant, but she knew it had something to do with standing up when you were told to kneel. Layla's voice was not loud. It did not boom like a preacher's or rumble like a judge's gavel. It was soft, like rain just before the storm, like a song hummed by a woman sweeping the steps of a prison. But it carried. And when she spoke, people stopped what they were doing and they listened. She started with letters to the mayor, to the newspaper, to the United Nations. Letters written in borrowed ink on the backs of flour sacks and cigarette boxes. She wrote about the girls who disappeared on their way to school, about the land stolen, the water poisoned, the names erased. And slowly, the world began to write back. Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, even the New York Times. A girl with no address but her name had become a voice impossible to silence. She marched across continents, from the cracked earth of Sudan to the glass towers of Geneva. From refugee camps where children played with bullet casings to conference halls where men in suits sipped water and debated what justice should look like. Layla never shouted. She stood. Sometimes that's enough. They jailed her in Eritrea, beat her in Yemen, banned her in China. But like a river through stone, she carved her way through. She once said, "Every time they break my body, I remember I come from women who gave birth under bombs and still sang lullabies." She collected stories, not headlines, not statistics, but names. Rekha, who was burned for wanting to learn. Zainab, who taught poetry to girls in secret. Sophia, who vanished in a prison and lived only in the memory of a mother who refused to forget. Layla carried these women with her, in her speeches, in her writing, in the necklace she wore, a single bead for every name. She called it the Book of Women Who Were Not Meant to Survive. And still, they did, through her. Layla once loved a man named Jabril. He was a photographer who believed in light, even in places where it had long disappeared. He taught her how to use a camera. She taught him how to listen between words. They were never married. The world didn't allow it. 2 wanderers in a storm, they passed like comets, blazing, beautiful and brief. Jabril was killed covering a protest in Myanmar. Layla carried his lens in her pocket for years. She never took another lover. Her heart belonged to too many people to belong to one. In her later years, Layla founded an organisation called Daughters of the Dust, a tribute to all the women who rose from nothing but grit and memory. She trained girls in how to write, how to speak, how to dream dangerously. She wore white when she protested, so that if they killed her, the blood would tell the truth. And when she stood before the UN General Assembly, she said, "You may not remember my name, but I promise you, one day your granddaughter will be free because I refuse to sit down." Layla Baisha passed quietly in her sleep, surrounded by girls who called her Mama of the brave. They say the day she died, the skies wept again. Not from sorrow, from gratitude. Because the world had known a woman who walked through fire, not to be burned, but to light the way. And now her name is sung in alleys and courtrooms, in schools and safe houses, wherever someone dares to say, I too am human. And so, Layla Baisha lived a life. Not a perfect one, not even a peaceful one, but a life of truth, of grace, of a woman standing up even when her knees wanted to fall. I come as one, but I stand as 10,000. So did Layla, and still she rises,